author and teacher Bruce Wilkinson tells us of his first trip to Israel. He was alone on a ship that docked on the Isle of Patmos, where of course the Apostle John wrote the book of Revelations. Wilkinson was very lonely for his family and just decided to walk the streets of Patmos, until he found a coffee shop where he went in and sat down and prayed. He said, "Lord, I'm in the middle of nowhere by myself. I don't know anyone, send someone who needs you." It wasn't long before a young man at the next table said, "Hey, do you want some coffee? I'm happy to buy." "Are you traveling on that ship?" Bruce Wilkinson picks up the story there.
I said yes, I am traveling on that ship. So I moved over to his table and he bought me a cup of coffee. For some reason, I asked him what's the matter. He said, "What do you mean what's the matter?" I said, "I don't know, I just had a feeling that I was supposed to ask you what's going on." He said, "Well, I just left my wife, and I'm not going back. I'm going to try to get on that ship, to get to the next island so that I can fly out of here." And feeling God's leading, I said to him, "Would you believe that I'm here all the way from Atlanta, Georgia for one reason, to get you back to your wife?" He said, "What? Impossible." So I said, "Well, let me buy you the next cup of coffee," and for the next hour he and I sat there and talked. During our conversation, God showed up, in fact God broke through, and that young man came to know Christ. As we left that coffee shop on the Isle of Patmos, I told him, "If you patch things up with your wife before the boat leaves, you come wave at me, because I'll be watching for you." He said, "It will never happen." I said, "You're a miracle, give God a chance." I got back on the ship and I was praying like crazy. I went to the back of the boat overlooking the harbor, and I'll never forget what I saw. Walking down off the rocky cliff came this young couple holding hands and waving.
Bruce Wilkinson says, "I'm convinced that if I hadn't in my own loneliness prayed and asked God to send someone that needed help, then that man would never have said a word to me." 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 12 says, "For the eyes of the Lord are on righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers."